Hey, welcome back to A Faster Beat. It's the beginning of the 2022 season. First race of the year. It's a little early. It's January 16th right now, and not exactly in race shape, but we're going to try to race ourselves into shape and see how it goes. Haven't been doing too many really hard efforts, but I've put in a little bit of work, and hopefully it pays off today.
It's not right, bro. Okay, now we're good.
Okay.
Next on the menu, we've got our category fours, the ferocious fours racing for 40 minutes. We're going to hand the mic over to Chief Official Stevie B in a moment. Really cool. We got the Watson brothers here because brothers ride bikes. The Waddy Cottage in the house. This is going to be fun, everybody. Remember, this is not a drill. This is not a rehearsal. We are sanctioned and we are sponsored. And so, let's rock and roll.
All right, so this is basically first race of the year right here. Just getting off the line, and it didn't start the year the way I wanted to. Obviously, if you saw the title of this, you know there's a big crash coming up, and unfortunately I'm in it. I do get off to a decent start here, but the race is just really wild. The film doesn't do it justice like always, but it's kind of funny. The way I kind of think of this race is if you look at those, like the Nature Channel or something, and you see, they have a drone shot of the ocean, and it's a school of fish, and there's a shark swimming through the fish, and you see all the fish expand or run from the shark and then come back together. That's kind of how this group was. I mean, it would expand and come back and swing left, swing right, things like that. So a couple crashes, and unfortunately I face planted in one of them. But anyway, this is just the opening lap. Majestic is running a season series this year, so there's a bunch of sprint points and things like that. You can get yellow jersey, green jersey, all of those kind of things. So this very first lap starts off with a sprint lap, so it's pretty hot, and honestly we carried good speed through most of the race. I mean, a lot of the race were going to be 28 miles per hour and faster, so yeah, it was definitely a lot of adrenaline out there. A lot of people fired up, just coming through trying to carry good speed and just trying to wait for the race to settle in. It's a 40-minute race. It's the Cat 4 field, and I'm in good position here. I'm sitting about 10th maybe, and this is where I wanted to be. It was just kind of a strong field, I guess we had. There's a lot of strong riders out there, and everybody's just itching to race, so made things a little wild. Little gap formed here, and I couldn't tell if somebody was getting off the front or not, so just wanted to kind of stay in touch with the front group and see what happens and see if anybody's going off the front to maybe get up there. But it slowed down here a little too much. We're down to 24 miles per hour, and as you can see, there's people moving left. But I'm still sitting okay here. I'm not too excited. Didn't want to be too far up front, and definitely didn't want to be too far back. It's still a little, the race still hasn't settled. For a Cat 4 race, the 4s, 4, 5, stuff like that, the lines are just not real steady. People are kind of antsy and jump around a lot, and that just makes it a little difficult for the race to settle. Usually the race settles after a few laps, but this one kind of never did, so it was stretched out though, so we were moving pretty fast, just not fast enough obviously to keep it really stretched out. But it's not too much going on. It was a perfect day to race. It was a perfect weather, all that kind of stuff, about 70 degrees. You can see the cloud cover, and it wasn't too windy. It gets super windy in this area, and today it wasn't too windy, so still sitting pretty, just trying to, I could be a couple more spots up, but the race kind of hasn't settled yet, and there's a lot of shuffling right now. And being that this is my first full Cat 4 field, and it's a new year, didn't really know who all the players are and what's, wheels are steady, stuff like that. So I ended up deciding to just kind of sit with Go Fast right here in the purple. I know the Go Fast riders. I know Ladon that's in the race, so I kind of figured I'll just kind of settle in there. They always have a plan, and I know who the players are on their team, so it's kind of easy to, sit in with some of their guys and move up, and I can trust their wheels. So you'll see in a lap or so, I just kind of sit behind. I think it's Mario and Brian. Maybe I'm sitting behind. But yeah, just still waiting for it to settle in, and it's kind of not. It's just kind of a lot of shuffling, kind of weird lines and stuff going on. So, but I'm still trying not to get shuffled back too far. Looks like I'm probably 20th position here or so, 18th, 20th, and I really don't want to be much further back than that. That right there that you just saw, that was kind of the theme of this race for me. For whatever reason, people were trying to hold way too tight a line. We're doing 27 right here. I think at the time of my crash, we're doing 29. And for some reason, people are riding the gutter and still think they can make the turn. But, if you keep it stretched out like this where we're only 1 or 2 wide, we can carry really good speed through the corners. And, for the most part, that's the idea. But, it's just we're in the lower category and things aren't as stable. So, it shuffles a lot, as you can see here. We're still doing 28. Trying to move up a little bit without using too much power. I still can't really get a good view of what's going on the front. I can see that it's stretched out a little bit, but I can't tell if there's a break or not. So excuse me if I'm talking a little weird, because my face is swollen. So here's some of the Go Fast guys here, and yeah, I was happy to see them here, especially knowing Mario is one of them, and I know Mario is one of their front runners. So I was thinking, okay, if Mario's chilling right here, nothing's really going on yet. They're gonna move up. So Tony comes up right here. Tony Dominguez from stage 2 tells me to jump on his wheel, and for whatever reason, I was stubborn and I didn't. I should have. Tony kind of, made his way up to the front, had a great race, ended up coming in 8th place, and I kind of just should have jumped on him here. I raced with Tony a lot last year, and I know his wheel as well. And you see him using energy right there to go up. I could have just jumped on his wheel and had a free ride, as all those other guys did right there. You see a group of about 10 people moving up, and now we're in the thick of it again. The race was pretty fast. I mean, I ended up crashing, and my my Wahoo stayed on for a little bit, so my speed was only 26.6, but in reality we're probably closer to, it was 26.3, but in reality we're probably closer to about 27 miles per hour. And that's pretty fast. This is a pretty small course. I believe it's 0.8 of a mile. And it's about 5 turns kind of, because there's kind of 2 and 1 turn right here, but it's for the most part it's pretty close to a 4-corner crit, and just carries a lot of speed around this is the slowest part of the track right here, just right after the uphill, going into the fastest part of the course after this right hand turn. So for me, it was a little, this was a race that you had to kind of really be diligent and stand towards the front, really stay busy, only because the road is so wide. There's multiple lines. You can just carry speed around the outside. As you can see, every so often about 8 to 10 guys move up to the outside, and the next thing you know, you're shuffled back 10 spots, Even though from where you're at, the line you're in, no one's past you, but a different line forms, kind of moves up the outside, and next thing you know, you're kind of swarmed. Unfortunately, number 438 right there in front of me, I believe his name is Joel. He gets caught up in the crash with me. He was an innocent bystander, honestly. I get hit and bumped out, and unfortunately, I take him out. The only good thing is he kind of landed on me, so I broke his fall. But that's about it. But yeah, it's unfortunate. I hate to be a part of ruining someone else's race, you know. But again, if you look at our speed, we're uphill right here. I think this is a false flat. It's about 1% or so. But, you know, we're at 28 miles per hour coming up this hill, going into the slowest part of the hill right here. Rider right there in the black and red just scraped the gutter. And I don't know. A lot of people are riding the gutter. And, you know, Mario ended up scraping the gutter too. Some of it's just because where we're at, like positioning. And that's a wide turn there, though. Honestly, it's not even a sharp turn at all, so I understand people going inside there. But on the 90-degree turns, yeah, you can't go inside that deep if we're running close to 30 miles per hour. It's just super hard to make that turn when we're 4 or 5 wide. Still, again, we're stretched out pretty good here, so the pace is pretty hot. This is a 40-minute crit, so for Cat 4s, it's really fast. I think the pro field averaged, one of the guys I know in the pro field averaged 28. They're probably closer to 30 overall, but you know, it's a fast race for Cat 4 field. Race is kind of settling a little bit too. I mean, they're pushing the pace up front, but it's at least stretched out and, you know, a lot safer when we're like this. I'm not sure what this guy has in his back right here, right above his neck. It almost looks like a, you know, football neck roll kind of thing, but I'm not sure what it is. It might be some type of, I'm not even sure. I can't even guess really what it would be. If anybody knows, hit me up in the comments and let me know what's in that guy's jersey up there with the black and red kit on. So I think this is Mario and D right here. I'm still pretty good. Go Fast has a decent sized team in the race, so I know that I have some decent tactics. And again, I was happy just sitting back here with them, and that's Ladon to my right there. Those are a lot of the players in the field. So, you know, with the Go Fast team, Ladon's a good closer and good sprinter. So I was happy, or not happy, but maybe a little content to sit here. And when it's fast like this, it's not that big of a deal. But when it gets a little too wide, I think I just kind of put myself in a bad position. I should not have been back that far. And, you know, those that follow me on this channel, you guys know what I preach. It's your job to stay in a safe position, you know, stay in a safe place. If you don't like what's going on around you, you gotta move. You gotta get to someplace safer. Unfortunately, Ladon gets caught up in actually has 2 crashes, I believe. Well, one that he actually hits the ground, and then the second time he got caught up in a crash that he ended up just getting stopped behind and ended up having to do some evasive action and get around it. So I think we're pretty much into the race now. This is 13 minutes in. Well, I shouldn't say 13 minutes in. It's about probably 10 minutes in or so. And, you know, again, it's a 40-minute crit. Unfortunately, when we start settling in, there's just too many riders. I think we have 60 riders here. And the course is wide enough, honestly, but 60 riders, Cat 4, first race of the season. And, yeah, it needs to stay a little faster and strung out a little more as it gets, as we get kind of swarmed up in here. You can see how it expands. It's almost like a lung or something. It expands and then it tightens and it expands and tightens, and that's just a little nerve-wracking, and it makes it a little hard to establish position. For the most part, though, I'm still feeling pretty good. You see my heart rate's only 171. You know, I max out at about, well, functionally, I max out at about 188 or so. Sprint-wise, it's about 197. I don't typically get into the 190s too often on a steady effort, just on, you know, sprints, more explosive type stuff. Steady effort-wise, I'm usually high 80s. Maybe I hit 190, but not usually more than that. So I'm sitting pretty good, especially now. Heart rate's 165. That's like that's below my threshold heart rate basically. So, you know, definitely we've settled in now, and the pace has settled a lot, but it's going to surge a little bit, you know, with a lot of the preems and stuff like that. So anyway, I'm still just trying to figure out this race, trying to read it, see what it's going to come down to. I don't know if there's going to be a break, you know, what the strategy is. I'm kind of thinking right now, because Go Fast moved up a little bit, I'm kind of thinking that maybe they're going to, you know, try to go off the front or so. I end up touching with Jack right there just real quick. Just again, it's kind of, when it's a little congested, you can't move your line, so it's kind of scared him a little bit, but honestly, we barely like just touched hands. Not that big of a deal in racing, really. The weather was a little, I don't know, maybe it's just the first race of the year. I was like extremely dry mouth. Like just, yeah, I never take water in a race, and I end up taking a sip here, not right here, but in a little bit. And yeah, it was just, you know, it was just a little dry, probably just with the first day that it's a little warmer, and you know, it's always a little breezy through here. So here's another thing that I just didn't understand, especially in the Cat 4 field. So these next few laps, we're going to start hugging the right side here, especially when the field's, you know, 3-4 wide like we are here. And then right before the turn, everyone swings left to make the right. And yeah, I just didn't get that. Definitely didn't think it was the safest thing. And maybe it's just because so many people are riding the gutter that they have to kind of give it a little room. Not sure. But there's a good 3 or 4 laps in the middle where just before the turn, well, right after the coming out of the last turn, everyone's swung to the right, the entire group. And before making the next right-hand turn, you know, the entire group would swing left, and basically following the front guys would swing to the left before dipping into the right. Yeah, just a little, it just seemed a little wild to me. I don't know if I can catch it on camera as much, just because it starts from the front, and I'm kind of a good 35 riders deep now, which I really should not be back here. But yeah, that was just kind of weird. If anybody wants to throw their 2 cents in or explain why why anybody thought they would do that. If you noticed, that was just Ladon there. I don't know what happened. Kind of looked like he maybe touched a peg. I think he said the rider in front of him hit brakes, but somehow it looks like his rear wheel lifted. So I don't know if he hit a peg or if he touched his rear brake and just spun out from the back. I wasn't expecting it. I knew it happened, but I just wasn't expecting it. That made me put in a little effort there to close the gap, because we got separated. The field kind of split right there. But, you know, it's not that big of a deal. Put in a little effort, close the gap. Even though my heart rate is, you know, up now, I knew I'd have time to return, just because the corners are kind of slow, so I can carry some speed through the corner and catch back up. So the pace has definitely picked up again. Not sure if it was a preem lap or not, but you know, this, like I said before, this is a false front, or false flat. So, you know, it may look flat, but it's actually like 1%, maybe 1.5%, something like that. So we're carrying some pretty good speed up here normally. Slows down here and then gets ready for the downhill. It's funny, right? Well, I guess we'll get to it, but right after I crash, the very next lap, there's a crash in the exact same corner. Hopefully the Boost rider's okay. I think it was a Boost junior rider, and he hit his shoulder pretty hard, so hopefully it's not any breaks or anything. You know, and it's about here is where I told myself, like, you gotta move up. You're not really in a safe spot. You're not really in the safest environment in the position that I'm in. And I started looking for ways to kind of move up without using too much energy. Obviously, when we're doing 27, 28 or higher, you really got to pick your spots carefully just so you don't pop yourself. you don't want to be putting in a lot of energy, going over 28, 30 miles per hour to try to find a spot to move up. For the most part, though, I mean, other than my little mishap today, I'm pretty excited about the season. There's a lot of, obviously a lot of teams out, and I'm kind of excited to see, all the guys from Stage 2. They had a good representation. See what Go Fast is going to do this year. Pat 605 Racing, and a couple new teams out there as well. So Major Motion, when they get back in the swing of it. I'm kind of interested to see how the year goes and see how we can carry all that momentum off of last year. Definitely good to see bros ride bikes with definitely Jack and Eli. I see their rides all the time, so it's good to see the progress everyone's making. Yeah, I'm definitely way out of position here. I need to be up about a good 15, 20 spots just to be in a little safer position and have a little less congestion. Yeah, so I take a little drink right here just to get a little breather. My mouth was a little cotton mouth. My body's feeling fine. Heart rate's down. That's about my threshold heart rate right there, so that's fine. I was actually feeling pretty good, other than I'm just looking for a way to move up a little bit. I think we have about 7 laps left here or so. And, I was feeling pretty good. I was thinking, all right, things have settled in now. Now just get into a better position, and, it's looking pretty good. So I think this is one of those situations where I'm talking about everybody hugs to the right here, and then right before the turn, the entire peloton swings left. And yeah, and I don't know why that was a strategy. We don't have any teams up front controlling it. As far as there's no lead out or anything going where you're trying to protect the inside from someone coming up the inside or anything. It's randomized right now, so it's not like a team effort is hugging the side of the road to prevent someone from overtaking them. So I don't know exactly why we were doing it. Still got a good pace going through here. It's really stretched out now, and I'm really way out of position, really too far back. But this is part of the problem as the races get faster. When you get out of position and the speed is 29 miles per hour and you haven't even hit the downhill yet, it takes a lot of energy to move up. And sometimes it's not worth it. Eventually you're going to have to. But yeah, I was still just trying to search for a spot where I can move up without using too many watts. Yeah, this is pretty deep going in here. It's slowed down on the downhill, and then of course it's a little sprint out of the corner. So right there, Ricky gets over from Go Fast. Eli gets over, little check moment. But if you look to the right, see the guy in orange and the Velosport guys are way too close. He pushes them out. That guy hits me. I come across and clip Mario's back wheel, and I take Joel out basically. Here it is in slow-mo. So if you look at where Ricky's at from Go Fast, that's fine. He's in good position. The guy next to him with the black jersey and the red stripes, that's the guy who bumps me, but it's not actually his fault. If you look to the right, the guy in the orange jersey, he's a little too tight. If you look, we're going 29 miles per hour. So to hug the gutter over there where you're going to see the two Velosport guys, it's way too tight to go 29 miles per hour and make that turn. You're never going to make a 90-degree turn there. And if you see D goes around the Velosport guys, and D's actually pretty tight too, but see the Velosport guys have to check up. They can't make the turn. So then the second Velosport guy bumps right there into the orange. The orange pushes this guy out into me, and right there I clip Mario's back wheel and I can't save it. I saved the first part. After my back wheel got clipped, I can't save it, and I take Joel out. And honestly, that's just way too tight of a line for people to be riding the gutter at 29 miles per hour there with 4 or 5 wide. It's just not going to happen. Here it is again in fast motion, and that's pretty much the end of my race. And I just let you guys listen to it and hear it play out.
Fuck. That hurt my face? Yes, sir. No, it's fine. Am I all skinned off? No, a little bit. Okay, it's fine. Yeah. Can you move your shoulders? This one's a little hurt, but... Okay, go move.
Stay down. Hit his head.
No, he's pushing my phone.
Are you okay?
Well, we'll see in a second. It's not the end of the world, but I'm okay. Yeah, I'm not dead or anything.
Okay. As soon as you revive, kind of move off the road so you don't get run over again.
Here, just unlock your helmet. I got it. Give me.
Yeah.
Oh. Solid.
Okay.
Alright, you got it.
438.
Too. Pause, don't worry. Yeah, I still got the ride. The clip's broke. Okay, but how about the bike?
Well, I'll let you be the judge of that.
Because my wheels are brand new.